right, so we will go ahead and get started. It is 5:32 on June the 4th. This is the meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee. I do apologize for running just a couple short minutes behind on the setup, but we are good to go now. We will go around and do introductions. We will start with the courtroom and do introductions about the courtroom, and then we'll pause for a second and we'll do some introductions for the folks that are joining us remote. So, Stephen Dix, chair of the committee, will go behind.
Lauren Thomas,
Jason Harris,
Glenn White, John Mosley, Mayor Lee,
Karen Bailey.
Jerry Haynes,
All right, hold on one second for those of you online. If you are online, go ahead and announce yourself.
Patty Treadway, Terry Haynes.
And I think we also have online Matt Ross with us as well. I'll give him a second. We'll go ahead and get started, and I'll see if that's him while we get started. We'll start with updates from the mayor's office first, related to the budget. So Karen and the mayor, if you all want to go ahead, we'll do that.
I don't have that many updates, but I want to praise my worker for working so diligently. We got the month closed out, just got that in this week, and she was able to get out new copies to all the commissioners of where we stand as of the end of May. And ask you if you had a chance to look that over. The current shortfall through May is 127,856, and we originally for the year budgeted 337 shortfall. We have 1 month of revenues, 1 month of expenditures left. Still don't know exactly how that'll come out, but it looks like so far so good. We feel like that will be less than the 337 that was budgeted. So we'll have to wait and see. That leaves the estimated fund balance based on, through May, 878,595, which, like I say, is close to 200,000 less than the budget shortfall that we thought we were going to face. Revenues have come in pretty well. I'm sure all of y'all have had a chance to look at those. We're at about 91% revenues compared to budget. We are actually about 93% compared to what we actually collected for 2019. So revenue side is been strong through 11 months. Our expenditure side is pretty much on schedule with what we normally do. Our revenues are down slightly in some areas. I think some due to the virus, but we did have good months. And December was off, so I know that we got good collections there. And for the month, and Mr. Shelton's office, I think they took in quite a bit in May, and hopefully for June they do close to the same amount. And our other revenue offices, Ms. Hill is right on budget with what she normally does. So the other Mix's office is close, but whether we'll achieve the whole 100% or slightly above that, we've got 1 more month to see on that. But non-budgeted items that just found out about today, the state has passed state law that where the internet sales tax doesn't phase in until a company reaches $500,000, they are lowering that threshold to $100,000 in the upcoming budget year, which they estimate about 27 million statewide. So that should have a small effect on our in a positive way for the county. They're also passed a state law for Airbnb, VRBO, that any sales tax, hotel motel tax have to be collected by those organizations and remitted directly to the county, instead of the county having to find who's doing what. So I think that could have a positive impact, but how much you know, it'd be hard to estimate a figure at this point, so found out about those today. So, but other than that, you know, I think Karen also prepared you a sheet that she sent out as far as the sheriff's department, what the cost would be to bring, all, jail personnel that are making less than $12 an hour, up to $12 an hour. That's been provided to you. Karen did a really good job on that spreadsheet. Most of those jailers are, didn't you say within 1 year, Karen? We have a few that's been here a few years, but most of them have been kind of new hires within the last year, 2 years anyway. So at any rate, that's all the updates I have. You know, Karen and myself, be happy to answer any questions you guys have.
I want to talk about that business tax that Mitzi said. The total tax was $57,759, but all that doesn't go to 101. So only 15,000, but most of that money comes in June. If you notice, I wrote it there. So we kept it. I don't think we can make it above 51,000.
That goes several different line items. One of the part of the waste fund gets part of it. There's various other areas where that money goes other than just general fund. Thank you, Ken. I forgot that.
Any questions for Karen or for Bubba?
On this guard situation, are they on, I think I asked this last time, are they on the salary step raise schedule that we passed last year?
The full times are, yes.
Okay, what does a part-time get?
They get longevity.
How much is that?
$50 for every year you've been here once you pass 3 years,
Okay,
or once you get to 3 years.
so if I'm reading right, we move the guards to $12 an hour, that's gonna be an additional 107,000, is that right?
That's correct.
It will add to the short.
One other comment, I was talking about what I found out from the state level, but on the state level, it's recommended that all state employees' raises be cut out completely, which includes teachers, everybody. It hasn't been voted on and passed yet, but that is the recommendation at this point, which will probably be voted on next week or so. Whether it'll stay in or not, I don't know, but our recommendation is to cut those out for the upcoming fiscal year. So I just want to pass that information on to you.
And that includes office holders?
Office holders are different. The office holder pay raise for this coming budget year will stay in. The way that works is if there's no state, if state employees do not get a raise in the coming year, the following year, office holders will not receive a pay raise. I checked that out also.
Yeah, I know that in the past, there have been some years they didn't get a raise or like our small.
If there's no state employee raise, then by statute, office holders, the county can still give the office holders pay raise, but it will not, it's not required.
Would be reimbursed.
Right. Well, they don't reimburse us anyway, so.
I spoke with Mitzi today, and she gave me a couple things to report. She said she talked to several people with Airbnbs, and they're booking up through August. So I think we did the right thing by raising hotel motel tax $10,000. She said they sent the sales tax to the state today, which the county will get a portion back, and the check was over $92,000. So she says she met her revenues. Also talked to Craig Masters today about the state inmates, and he has got approval, I guess, from the judges or whoever, and he was making arrangements today to bring back, I think, 10 males and 10 females.
Are they gonna be tested before they come back?
So he said they were working back towards getting and make the stadium make the population back up to where they had it before.
Since we're in a time of just updates before we hit discussion, any other updates that need to be mentioned at this time? Any other updates that needs to be shared at this time?
Lauren, did you say how many we have right now?
He told, I spoke to Craig also, I thought, he said they were in the process of doing that, so, their last check we received, I think I told y'all was 42,000. So they were able to get those 15 back, they should bring revenue stream back to closer to what it was, prior to COVID.
How many months are we behind now? Are we 1 month behind on the revenue?
I believe it's one, month before last year was right at 50,000, this last month was 42,000. And so if they're able to get those back in June, then starting at July, it should be closer to that 60,000. Originally it was 60, 65, and we budgeted 55, so.
And it's always better to under project a little than the over project, because it makes that shortfall a lot worse.
Right. But I think you're looking at currently, Karen, did you figure for me, I think it's 10.4% based on the current shortfall of 328 amount of tax, as far as the tax increase, the current shortfall, unless there's other changes that y'all want to make. 10.42.
0.49.
Yeah, 10.49 is what the shortfall we're looking at. We did get the letter, and yeah, I think it's either packet that the 3 cents for debt services could be used also.
And that's in your recall.
And that's using the 3 cents still, it's gonna be 10.
Yes, that's excluding the 3% or 3 cents from debt service, the ambulance, funds that we use. We checked with, auditors today, and the way they explained it works, we can't just pull that line item out. We have to actually budget the amount, from the hospital funds as revenue, and then show the expenditure as an expenditure, but it's balanced, and then it's neutral to the balance and the shortfall. And of course, the estimated shortfall is an estimated amount at this point. So I have spoken to Mr. Coates today about closing out year end. He's in the process of having their accounting department check to see exactly if we'll owe any additional funds, whether there be a excess, any excess that if there is an excess from the $100,000 we reviewed, any excess would go back, have to go back into the reserve funds from where it came, which is the hospital funds. So if there is any money left, if it was $10,000, it would have to go back into the reserve hospital fund account. Of course, we're using those funds to pay for ambulance anyway. But there may be a need there to check with him and make sure that they have sufficient cash flow, because just because you have receivables come in, don't mean you got money in the bank. So I will have something by the monthly meeting as to what the appropriate action is there. So we set them up July 1. They'll have sufficient cash flow to carry them while they're getting the receivables.
Did they get any funding from the state or any other agency on this COVID-19? I had read where a lot of the ambulance service and hospital services.
The funding that they did, that they received, it went to Washington County because they were running the service. I did check on that myself also. I'm trying not to leave too many stones unturned. And I also checked about the one-time payments, once it was in all discussion, once a year you can file for additional funds that comes from Medicare, and those will actually, won't start until we actually start our own service. And, so that was estimated to be about $30,000 based on the original estimate of revenue and stuff. So, but those would not be filed for until sometime in the next fiscal year.
Any other general comments or questions before we get into tonight's discussions? So let me open up the floor this time to start off by looking at the budget again. Are there any places within the budget that we need to revisit? I have a note here for the guard, increase in their salaries as a decision point when we need to go back to. Are there other places that we need to go back to in the budget for discussion?
Did what I helped you do in 911 and animal, we're gonna talk about that later.
We can talk about that now, actually, since that was already.
Does everybody understand what I sent out on that? I tried to explain the differences and all. Did that help?
I think it's well balanced considering contributions from other agencies the way we've done in the past. I think it's pretty evenly balanced between the three entities.
Just want to make sure if I can explain that. I tried to put it as easy as I
You
could.
did a good job.
And I look back at our notes last year, Karen did give us that information last year too.
I didn't even remember that.
So any other questions as it relates to 911, animal control? All right, so we'll move on to outstanding decision points. Again, the one that I have is guard increase. Are there others that we need to talk about tonight as it relates to the budgets? Hearing none and seeing none from online, then our last decision point that we have to go through as it relates to the expenditure side of the house then is the guard increase. Everyone should have received via email the sheet that was prepared for us concerning the increase. This increase is to bring all of the part-time guards to full-time, to bring the minimum salary to $12 an hour for all guards. So the total estimated cost is $107,000, $107,556 to play exact. And so let me open it up at this time for discussion. Thoughts on this?
Well, the sheriff comes in here every year asking us to make them full-time because technically they are.
Most of them get 32 hours.
At least 32. And as Karen and the mayor pointed out a few minutes ago, the majority of them have only been here 1 to 2 years. So that shows you out there's high turnover. And Todd spoke to that last week. You know, a lot of times some of them are only in it to go to the path of being a deputy, but I don't know of just a handful that's actually went on to be a deputy. Most of them just ends up quitting. And I know it's a hard time financially for us, but I don't know how those people live on $10 an hour.
How many of them are retirees?
I don't know that either.
And that,
I don't know.
Todd stated, that's, you know, that's not most of it, a stepping stone to get into the force.
That's what most departments require you to do. Just most departments require you, or you kind of filter in that way. It's kind of like a filling out process. It's like, hey, you're going to do good here, and you can do good out here.
Right.
like I said, there's only like 10-15% of the people actually come into corrections actually stays in.
Sure.
Whether they go to a state corrections job or a federal corrections job, or, you know.
There any data for us to turn over to see where that employee went and they move into that? And
You can go to any jail in the northeast region, you're not gonna meet the same people unless they're the
I'm
administrator.
talking about as far as ours, I mean, it's a high turnover rate. Where do those employees go?
I don't know the answer to that.
You know, that's, for me, that's about.
I think most of them just end up
Other
quitting.
county jails have a high turnover when you talk to them.
I don't know if they go drive trucks or they get a clerical job or they, I mean, a lot of people come in and say, hey, this isn't for me.
Sure.
Because, you know, you can get stuff thrown on you that you don't like, you get sad, you know, you can take verbal abuse, it's just part of the job, and they're like, nope, this isn't me, not for 30 years. So, I don't know where they go, but
It's a hard job for Tim Owens now.
Yeah, it's sure, it's a hard job.
Be a hard job to fill out.
And now they're required to do
Hard job.
the same training, or some kind of training that, not the same training, but some kind of training that the deputies have to go through. You know what I'm talking about?
they have to go through a jail class. I
Some
don't,
kind of class.
yeah. You still have to go through the use of force and stuff like that.
And we gave them, 3 full-time correction officers last year, bring them in.
Well, the big question is, how are we gonna pay for it? That's the bottom line.
We sit in here the other day and try to cut 40-some thousand. Now we're gonna give 100-some thousand.
That's not, we don't need to discuss it anymore, except how we're gonna pay for it if we get to.
3.5 cents, give or take. 3 and
That's
4.
on 10 cents that we already have.
We would,
They should about 14.
yeah, we'd go to, in total, about 14 cents. We'd roughly break even at that point. We'd be positive $2,000.
And you got to remember that where we move those 4.5 cents, till we leave it, we maybe can't leave that another year.
That's never
Yeah, the debt service and the.
Yeah, you gotta think of that.
We have to
Go
always
back
back.
by next year.
You gotta put that back. I mean, you got it in this year.
It's kind of like you're kicking the can down the road this year, to help out this year, but we'll have to go back next year.
Really more like 18 or 20.
Yeah, I try to look at the whole picture with it, you know, one, being on the LE side, I like to give them, shoot, I'd like to give the sheriff a $10 million budget, just as long as every other department does. You know, you can't, I don't know any other governments that do that either, you know, they wish they could give more, but they can't. But on the other stand, I know that we have been working, taking steps, give you a little bit here, give you a little bit here, trying to do it all at one time, and I think that's great. We should continue to do that. But, you know, I also look at numbers too, the jail from 2011 till, if we go with this budget, minus this, you know, the jail went from 657,000 to a little over $1 million since 2011. Annexes went from 119,000 to 616,000. So, you know, we're helping in increments, and I think that's great, and we should do it all at one time. And what we did last year, I thought was really good, to assist in holes that he had and got some things done. You know, to me, it's just hard for me, you know, looking at the county, those people that put me in here too. From a number standpoint, hard to do that this year to me. And then also, I think about, well, if you're going to cut from all these departments and then dump it back into the sheriff's department, you know, I look at that, and then I look at, well, we do these guys $12 an hour, be prepared for next year from these other office holders to move whoever else up than what they're making. I mean, it's going to happen, just my own experience being here 4 years. Some of you guys been here 12, 14, you know how it goes. So,
But the majority of all the other county employees fall under what we passed last year, so they're automatically gonna raise up. But it's the only ones we kind of left out was the corrections officers, and it was the
Part-time.
The part-time corrections.
and they're doing a full-time job, most of them, and there's high turnover, regardless of where they go. And I do agree with Todd, we have to look at it from, can we afford it? You know? But
And if we give them $12 an hour, who says that still ain't gonna have high turnover?
like Todd said, though,
It might not just be the money
we've
that
tried each
they're
year,
leaving
the
for.
past couple of years, to take small incremental steps to improve things and move us forward. And you know, we've done a really good job. I think the sheriff's department's, you know, equipment wise, patrol car wise, thanks to Todd and all the work he's done, radios, frequencies, all that stuff. I mean, we got our emergency services in probably the best shape they've ever been in.
I think last year wasn't a small step, I think it's a major step, what we did in that department, major. And I think it's major last year, the steps, you know, of course, I'm never against anyone getting a raise, I'll have a raise myself, but at this time, with the, you know, of course, where I'm at, the school system, 7 teachers, they lost a career, they lost a job. We're talking about, you know, teachers. You've got unemployment, you've got situation with Scott's Farms right now. And if we do it, we're just gonna add to the deficit. You know, if he brought in, and he's done a good job with the inmate, I'm sure, but, you know, in a year to come, if he's brought in an extra 107,000,
We did this year.
yeah, but we're paying for last year. You know, we kicked the can down the road last year, right? We sure did.
But the only thing is, when you bring in more inmates, you got medical, dental, food, all that stuff
It don't go up as much.
goes up.
Not more than what you make, though.
But if you do this, then it's, you know, you bring them all full time, it's permanent. You can't go back and
No,
get
you
them.
never want to go back to that.
Right.
Now, once you do it, it's done.
This continues to reoccur right on down the road and increase from there.
To me, it's just a reoccurring issue every year. Every year, the sheriff comes in there and begs us to make those people full-time because they should be full-time
Well, we
positions.
make them full-time, $1 million. Cost
Well,
them.
they're already, most of them get the benefits anyway, they're working 32 hours a week, is that right? So
If you work
they
32.
get health insurance,
Well,
most of them are not getting dental and vision on it, that's correct.
Retirement, TCRS.
Or retire.
Retirement.
Well, I might, and we'll probably go back here and answer this, but if we were to make all these full-time, I mean, are they still gonna be working 32 hours a week, or is he gonna, is they gonna be working 40 hours? a week?
The work hours, I think, is the same. I mean,
I
overall,
don't think it's the
total
same.
work hours would stay the same.
So all guards work 32 hours a week.
No, they have to work a minimum to be full-time.
So if I'm a full-time guard right now, and I work 40 hours a week, and Jason's part-time, but we move him to full-time, he still works 32.
No, the 32 is for benefits. So you can't get benefits until you get to 32
But I
hours.
understand what John's saying, if we move Jason to full-time, he should have had another, he should go 40 hours a week, shouldn't he? Full-time.
That should add a lot more hours, you know, you take, 9, no,
You
60
figure
north,
he's in
south.
40 hours a week.
It's not,
That 40 hours.
it's not adding hours.
is this the difference right here on this, make full-time 9 guards, 45, 125, is that what the difference make up if we brought them on the same pay rate? Is that what that is?
Okay, and what, tell me again.
At the top of the page where it says,
One guard.
is just 1 guard we're bringing up to full-time? or 9 guards?
Well, one is 4,525.
Okay, so one guard is
Then when you
equal to
go to 9 guards, it's 40,000.
That's what I thought we were at last week, it's 40,000. I mean,
That's to
Is
bring
that,
it.
is that at $12 an hour or 10?
That's 9 guards, just 9.
At $10? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bring it from 10:30 to
12.
12.
That's bringing it to 12 an hour.
That's 40, that's
No, is that
40,000, right?
The 40,000 is taking all those guards.
And then after that's the 5 guards that don't make, that are full-time already that don't make $12 an hour.
Just another 12,000.
They're already full-time.
They're already full-time, yeah,
And then the annex are 7 more.
correct.
So he's asking for 16 guards to be brought full-time.
Oh,
Am I correct in that reading?
Yes?
No.
No, five of them are already full-time, right here.
5 are,
Five of the total 16.
So 11.
but 9 and 7 are not.
Right.
You got 9 guards out of, the jail, and
Right.
then you've got 7 guards at the annex.
To me, yo, if you're bringing up 11 guards full-time, they would go from 32 hours to 40 hours a week.
It should.
But you wouldn't need 11 because the ones are gaining 8 hours working a week, so you could cut the guards down if we done that.
More of a workforce.
Yeah,
I mean, you got more hours.
I mean, if I'm wanting a full-time, I want to go to 40 hours, not 32.
Well, no, if I could get 32 full time, I'll get 32.
I was like, you're gonna get paid for 40. That's the other half of that equation.
Oh, pay.
Pay-wise, you're only getting paid.
You gotta work, you
That's
gotta work the hours.
full-time to go.
Well, I thought full time was 40 hours.
No, it's 32. Full-time's 32.
So-
Benefited.
Okay,
So
so
he can, if we agree to do that, he can still leave the people working
So
32.
the guard works the extra,
Sort of what
extra time
I'm
that
trying
she's
to,
gonna pay.
sort of what I'm saying, and like I said, there's nobody here that can answer that question. This total she gave us is based on 20 hours a week.
Mhm.
He may leave them at 32 or whatever. I'm like, listen, I don't see, if you make them all full-time, I don't think they're gonna be working 40 hours a week.
Do you need all of them? Yeah. And that's another.
I think the majority is gonna stay like they are. It's
You probably have less employees if you made them all full-time. You'd have less employees
You'd have to.
and less benefits you pay out.
But who's gonna make that decision to tell,
How many less
Yes.
employees?
to cut that person out? That's-
I don't see them cutting them. It's that there's so much attrition in that job. So much turnover.
Well, yeah.
I think the central question for us is, are we willing to commit $100,000,
3.5% tax.
3.5% tax increase, 3.25, 3.5, to this, to allow him the opportunity to raise their salaries and bring more of them to full-time benefit?
And also, another central question is that if this is done, does it stop the request for each year? I mean, is it better? If I'm not mistaken, this is not an additional 300,000 this year that he asked for. Am I right? So, I mean, where's that going to level out?
Continue to grow every year.
I mean, what's it going to, that's the one thing, I mean, I'm sure it's difficult for y'all, and I wouldn't want to be involved. But, you know, the unemployment rate is 19%. Right now, nationwide. And we go, raise taxes. It's gonna have to, something, so.
Matt has a comment online, and his comment is, I agree, it would be difficult to give raises to the guards this year during the pandemic, and high unemployment and cuts we've made to other office holder budgets. I do not agree with raising taxes 3.5 cents for the purpose of this time. Other discussions on this, or do we need to bring this to a vote for this committee?
I'd say bring it to a vote and see.
We will bring it to a vote. All right. John Mosley.
Yes.
Glenn Watt.
No.
Jason Harris.
No.
Warren Thomas.
Yes.
Doug Wilcox.
No.
Marie Ross. Matthew Ross. Hold on a second.
No.
It worked. I hate technology. All right, go for it. Go ahead and vote, Matt.
No.
I will vote no as well. 6 no, 2 yes, motion fails. Are there other items on the agenda as it relates to expenditures that we need to discuss at this time?
We're out of balance, $328,000, so.
So hearing no other discussion as it relates to the expenditures, we will move into the discussion that's on hand. We are out of balance currently at $328,381. You're looking at rough 11 cents, 10 to 11 cents is the current out of balance, 10.49. So let's have the difficult discussion. How do we want to move forward? What do we want to do in order to balance our budget?
My question is, I made a ton of suggestions last week, and we spent a lot of time going through line item by line item, cutting out a bunch of stuff. But obviously, at the moment, $328,000 out of balance. Is there enough expenditures to cut and revenues to raise to wipe that out, or to wipe the majority of it out? And if anybody's got any more suggestions, feel free. If not, we're facing a 10 or 11 at minimum cent tax increase, as well as keep in mind that, like Karen said, we've got debt service and some things that we are doing one time this year. We've got money covering this year that is going to come up next year. Do we go ahead and cover that now, or do we do this again next year?
Well, we're looking at 4 cents to cover, with that 5 to cover what we have to put back next year. So a 15-cent tax.
And nobody in here, or nobody online wants to raise taxes. And we've worked hard for as long as I've been on the commission, for 10 years. I mean, we worked hard every year to not raise taxes. Last year was the 7th straight year that we did not raise taxes. We thought we were going to be way out of balance last year by, if I remember correctly, it was over $300,000. And we passed that budget, and as you can see there, we're only projected to be $127,000 out of balance. So we were close to $200,000 to the good this year. That's thanks to a lot of hard work by a lot of people, state inmates, sheriff. That money he brought in was a big help. But we budgeted $55,000 a month. And I agree with the mayor. That's a safe number. But I went through this budget line item by line item, just like everybody else has, and I can't find anything else in there myself that we can cut or raise to offset that. It's just.
I agree. I think last year you know, some of those line items, we stretched on the revenue side to get it. I mean, that was scary to me. But, you know, I think it's just like dead on. I mean, 1,000 maybe, if that, one I could gather, but I mean, still you're playing with fire when you start doing that. So.
What was 15 cents?
Let me share the spreadsheet that I have, and you all can feel free to stop that. You all feel free to look as you also.
Average citizen. What was the average on 139,000?
So the estimated, again, there's varying numbers here. For every 100,000, if we were to go for a 15-cent tax increase, for every 100,000 in property you own, it would be $37.50 on the year for an annual increase. If you take Zillow's estimate for the median value of property in Unicoi County, half of Unicoi County property owners would see $48.92 or less. The other half would see 48 and not higher.
So basically taking a family of 3 out to eat.
Basically, yes. Or if I'm taking my family of 6 to go to McDonald's, yes. We've spent a whole lot of money. So that's where 15 cents would get us. Correct. So for the median price in Unicoi County, you're talking $4 more a month estimated.
What would the tax rate be?
Tax rate would be 28338.
What about taking it? Yeah, I'm just throwing it out. What about half? That's it. In the form and then
Just kicking it down the road.
My understanding is we got a letter this year or a ding in our audit report about not.
We didn't receive an actual letter, but they looked very unfavorably on when we took the full amount of the deficit to 337 from our general fund, and do it a second year in a row. I'm not, you know, just verbally what they've indicated to me is, you know, that not be a good thing.
I was just talking about half, not all, half.
Well,
But we're talking about recurring expenses.
the work you.
Yeah.
Pretty much what was done last year. They'll be there.
Keep
It's
in
not
mind,
gonna go away.
Yeah.
keep in mind, you're not buying patrol cars this year out of this money. You're buying two patrol cars out of grant money. Next year, that grant money may not be there. We may have to buy 1 or 2 or 3 agreement, and that could be 2 or 3 cents, 1, 2, 3 cents, somewhere in there.
Well,
You've had lots of flood
issues.
issues.
And I was following last year about, I had in my mind 25 cent tax increase this year. After last year, I just thought that's what.
We're still
Even
believing.
making those adjustments, if we take it out of debt service and out of sanitation and waste, we still, that's a factor too. You know, that's, you gotta factor that in for next year.
But the 15 cents.
Shouldn't make it.
Take care of that next year.
And one other point. Keep in mind, if you look at the last page of your 3 column, Stephen and Karen can correct me if I'm wrong on this. We're still bleeding $127,000 out this year. That even if we balanced our budget with a tax increase this coming year, our fund balance would drop down to 878. Saying that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So there's another 4 cents that we're bleeding this year, but probably gonna bleed out next year as well.
You still stay at 878. Revenues are still coming in.
You would balance at 878.
Yeah.
If everything came.
If everything came in the way.
The other very important issue that you need to consider is this is tax rate and cash flow. Cash flow is incredibly important, whether it's you're in the business or you're in the government. And the problem with county cash flow is we've got our cash flow we're gonna get other than this last month. And cash flow in July, August, September, October is very little compared to paying out salaries and everything we pay out until we start actually getting funds in November. And if you drop that fund balance down, this last year, if you'll remember, we got approval to borrow from debt service, and luckily, we got just enough in that we didn't have to borrow. Well, if our fund balance, and that was when we had $1,091,000, a little over $1 million fund balance. If our fund balance at the end of this year is $700,000, you're almost guaranteed that you're gonna have to borrow out of debt service to get through to your tax until you actually start receiving your revenue. So it's not a good idea. It can affect your debt rating if you do that continuously. So it's not good fiscal management to do that. It might happen every once in a while, but to do it on a recurring basis is not what the county needs to be doing. So,
What do you recommend the tax rate to be? Or the tax
Man.
no, I believe in being realistic about it. Just like I said last year, when pay raises and things on 3-year plans passed, it should have been at least the amount of those recurring expenses, at least that amount of money, the tax increase should have been done last year. I don't have a vote, but that would have been my recommendation, at least that amount last year. We didn't do that, and that's fine. I mean, we took it out of fund balance, and we were fortunate so far. We'll see how this last month comes out. That shortfall may not be as much as what we thought. But that being said, we know for 10.5 cents that we need reoccurring funds to pay for. Unless there's something else you're going to cut out that's reoccurring expenses that everybody sit around this table, you've got, I think you're looking at a minimum of that amount. And the rest of it depends on whether the commission wants to address these one-time funds now. Didn't go ahead and address it with this budget. If you do that, then that will allow you to build your fund balance back to where it was prior to this year. But that's strictly up to y'all. I think you have to do the recurring expenses that which is a minimum of 10.5 cents, unless there's other expenditures you're going to take out of this budget. The fiscal responsibility, if you want to be, and we can do that for a year, and we can reevaluate. Revenues may come in, the internet may be better. There may be there's some light at the end of the tunnel that could be positives for the county. I don't run the sheriff's department, but there are some efficiencies we're looking at using some of these grant funds and technology. One thing I talked to Aaron about today was redoing the video, arraignment system here, which to cut down on jailers having to make the trek from out here down here, take less time, so there may be some efficiencies that the sheriff's department will gain, which if you, for every position you gain, you're pretty much off at least $35,000. So there are some efficiencies, you know, that can be looked at. But if you're asking me, in my opinion, I mean, we're looking at $10.5 cents to take care of the immediate needs this year.
In other words, we're right on the 15 cents.
As far as the one-time items that we're doing this year, but we are covered on those one-time items this year for the current fiscal year. That's why I recommended those. And I would not have recommended those if I felt like what financial responsible to do. That it is an opportunity to not have to have as much tax burden and then things that always improve, you know, and we could have some additional growth.
Also, isn't the school system going to be covered this year? We didn't balance his budget out, surplus money, 500,000, something like that. Play that online school with Brandon, he loses. He's losing about 700,000 a year, kids not going to public school. So maybe it's on, so that's another issue, the school system next year.
I think the biggest thing is getting through this year first, on.
Well, just looking.
Yeah, next year, hopefully that'll help next year.
I think there'll be some type of grant money or some state money. I mean,
Well,
this year, not much this year. There'll be some out there next year. This is not going anytime soon.
well, let's just check the checks out. Let's just vote on it, see if we stay on the last week, so.
We don't really have a motion yet, so.
Let's just see where the consensus is, and, you know.
So I'm hearing a couple different things. I'm hearing definitely at minimum, we want to think about the 10.5 to cover our cost. We definitely want to think about moving forward ahead, looking ahead a little bit to see what some of our costs are going to be. Also to potentially backfill some of the money that was used in reserves this year. So the additional coverage, if we were to go that way, could help cover reserve concerns last year and hopefully bring our fund balance back to over $1 million.
If I'm not mistaken, the last tax increase was 17 cents, 22. That's what it was.
I think that's one of the years the school.
Because of middle school.
So if we were to do 17 cents, that would be $285 on the tax rate, $42.50 for every 100,000 you own for a year, which works up to $354 a month. If we were to do 17 cents, it would give us a surplus of $203,000, which would probably bring us back over the $1 million mark.
Make a motion. 17 cents. Now, that just vote on it, see where we're at.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I know it's not mine.
no, I mean, because ultimately we can't set the rate anyways.
We just don't know,
We can't.
or we just let it alone until we go to the commission.
That happened last year, remember when you said you were going to do that? You go in there and box yourself in. You have a tax rate, already see it.
Right.
You can't cut expenses, you can't do
You
anything.
can't do that, I mean, you can't.
You have to take it out of your fund balance,
Yeah.
or you have to raise taxes.
Right. If the tax is raised, when is it going to affect? When is it going, it's going to start to rise?
What are they due
When they're due for people to pay.
Yeah.
They probably take it
next
Next year.
February, March, April.
He's looking to sell half the property really fast.
There is one way to cut 2 cents off. Raising the revenue, 5,000 a month, 60,000, again, extra 6,000, they say, quite too many close.
Just project.
That's all it is. All the tax increase.
Yeah, I mean, it is all projections, but I'd rather be in the good. You know what I'm saying? I like to go, whoa, 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 and then dig in the good, then we can use that.
I just, whatever.
I appreciate what Stephen has put together there on the screen. I mean, anytime the citizens or anybody hears tax increase, they immediately that raises the blood pressure. It's not pleasant being a commissioner if you, even the city alderman, when you gotta raise taxes. And sometimes it's completely unavoidable. We, like I said a while ago, we've gone a lot of years without raising taxes. Stephen's got the spreadsheet there on the screen, shows realistic numbers, what it would cost people. 17 cent tax increase was
I'm trying to make it bigger for you. There you go.
$354 a month.
22. So 22 is the one in reference to right now.
That's about 81 cents a week. And
I think if this passes, we need to tell our officials, we probably need to really do our best to curb expenditures in the following years. I just, and I look at, and I give her credit. She's saying, oh, last year, how we pay for it, and I appreciate, that thought now, because how we pay for it. But I think we need to tell all our office holders, because it's just, people don't want to raise. I'll be your friend, I'm going to get hammered, that's just part of it. But no, I'm telling you, we need.
They come in right on track with last year.
Last year, we just kicked it down the road.
The biggest part of our shortfall is
we
borrowed money though. The biggest part of this shortfall, Stephen can correct me, is the decrease in our revenues this year. That's the bulk of why we're short.
How much did Darren come in short?
Karen, the revenues was down, how much? 200?
So the original. So this updated sheet shows our revenues at 7.5 for proposal for this year, but our current revenues are 6.8. So we projected 7.5.
Okay.
We're at 6.8.
But all the revenues on in yet either.
Correct.
But if you look at the increase overall in the budgets, it's up around 340,000 increases in the total budget from the office holders. The sheriff's department, 246,000 off that. So, that's just the increases from.
And now a significant portion of the sheriff's department increases come from the gas tax, or the gas money that we put off.
That's 68
Yeah, so
We added medical too.
Yeah, so we did a lot of things last year that really probably should have been budgeted for last year, but we had one-time opportunities that corrected that.
It is what it is.
If you notice, we started at 8,000, 8 million, as expenditures, we have cut that down quite a bit. Y'all did.
We should have had tax increases last year. It's not that much. You just can't, go to the city hall and get the meat prices. Just the past 4 months. That's just
It's hard to operate in the same for 7 years.
And I'm not trying to belittle a tax, what a tax increase actually is, but like I see the spreadsheet there shows, you're looking at average cost of 81 cents a week for your average person. Gas prices fluctuates that much and more each week, sometimes. So it seems like a lot. And to some people, it's got a lot of property, it is a lot. But to your average property owner in the county, it's not a lot of money. It's roughly 81 cents a week.
Does anybody have money they want, instead of 17 cents, you do 15 cents? I'm just based on what the former commission did in 2012.
And I don't want to do it again next year.
I'm not for it.
You used to do 17 cents, that way it would take care of the shortfall.
Shortfall,
Give us
unbalance, and then money for next year.
Put that back into a million.
The other thing is kind of unique to this county also, when you look at surrounding counties, sales tax situation, 95% or greater of all sales tax, which is what everybody else's road, that's how they take care of it, on average, taxes, the sales tax road, we, 95% of the sales, at least 95%. Sales tax dollars go down or have Unicoi. And so we're kind of uniquely positioned where in the environment we're in right now, decreased sales tax would hurt us that much. County, we could hurt them that's out. But we do, the only place we got is road. We have roads and additional properties done. Hopefully our industrial side down the road, we get it done next year. And I know we will fuel suspension facility out there, and that will add some additional tax space to the county, and that type of thing. So, but just to make a point, we don't have the pro sales tax that a lot of counties have. Most of them will be, at least county will be receiving 25-30% of sales tax. We're not fortunate.
We don't bless the government.
A lot of your counties were affected as bad with the COVID-19, with the reduction in sales tax. Like Superior County, some of the bigger counties, Nashville, they took a big hit. They didn't take near as much a hit on our sales tax this year.
That country living. Did you say 17 cents?
So the current recommendation, and this will be just a recommendation we'll make to the full commission from this group.
I think you should ask for a consensus, not an actual vote.
Okay.
Do you agree, Mayor?
Yeah. This is not
There's no binding, it's all recommendation.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out what we're going to do. If the tax, it's not going to be a property tax increase, and how we pay it.
The truth being, we can discuss it all we want, but in June 22nd is the actual discussion we'll have to have concerning this.
What's the special call?
Monday. No, we just set the budget and the deficits. Yeah.
Really, right now, you should just agree on the budget. The budget we've got, is that what you want?
The freedom that we have to discuss here, though, is that we're not held down to parliamentary procedure near as much. So I think maybe instead of asking for even consensus or vote, I think the bigger question would be, where are people at in the process? So do you strongly does anyone in here strongly advocate for more, for less than 17 cents? What are your general thoughts? And then truthfully, at our meeting on the 22nd, we'll need a motion in a second for the actual rates that we'll be proposing. So this is more of a safe. This is a time to discuss freely without having to.
I'm a less. I'm a less than 17 cents. I'd like to see zero, but I know that's not gonna happen. I don't know.
Matthew online has said 17 cents seems about right. So that was his comment.
I'd probably maybe the 10 and a half.
I'm just afraid we got to come back down the same road next year. Do it again.
I think we've got at least a minimum of 15.
We gotta make sure we cover what the mayor.
Like the mayor was saying, there is so much, different things that can affect us.
Yeah.
That's unique to our county, that other counties don't necessarily have to deal with, but keep in mind, I mean, we just started an ambulance service.
Yeah.
And we're responsible for funding that too, and we don't know exactly, I mean, we're very, very close on that budget. We think the projections are very accurate, but
Is that?
you don't,
You're
not projections. Yeah. But we gotta make sure, we're covered on being able to take care of that.
That's
And you don't want to be known for raising taxes every single year either. That's what's happening.
So any other general comments? Anybody else want to express any thoughts as it relates to potential tax increase rates? Any other thoughts?
Has anyone thought about asking the office holders to reduce their budget by some percentage to lower the?
So I have a personal opinion on that. We've asked them continuously to reduce, and I have a fear that we've hit the point where we're past the point of return for continued reductions without impacting employees at this point. So I have a fear that we're getting to the point where we can only carve so much off before we hit the bone. I have a fear that we're closer to that. Now, we could, if this is what this body wants to do.
If we were at 60,000 in the hole, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Usually 15%.
Yeah, $328,000.
I thought I was.
Big.
Most of the budgets were either almost exactly what the budget was last year, and some even lower than they were in the early years before. Other than the pay rate.
That was 27,000.
That's also.
Well, let's just, this is hypothetical. Let's just assume 17 passes, okay? And that should all go, pretty good financial standing, should it not? Should we be in financial standing if we did that?
Definitely, the pay rate.
So we need that.
Keep our lights on currently.
You know, because like Lauren, they, we don't want to do, we gotta do it now, it's gonna come back next year, and do another.
You won't be known as raising taxes every year.
What's that?
You won't be known as raising taxes every single year.
If it's one big one every 8 or 9 years.
Take 4 or 5 years.
I don't know about won't be known for raising it 17 cents either.
No, but it's,
So the last item that's on our agenda, we'll go ahead and close out that discussion. Other items related to the budget before I move into the final item, which is the grants possibilities list. Any other budget related discussion items? So this, and I do apologize, we actually do need one more thing. We have to have a motion in a second to send this budget to the committee, to the commission, correct? All right, so at this time we have a budget that's being presented to everyone. It will need a motion and a second from this committee and a vote to bring this budget to the special call meeting on Monday night. Can I entertain a motion? Motion's been made by Glenn Watt to bring this to the full commission for the special call meeting on June 8th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, by Todd Wilcox. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Be noted that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ayes. Matt voted online aye. We have 2 nays.
You still don't know how you're gonna fund the shortfall.
I just don't think we've set tax rate concern in that growth. If that's your question.
No, my question is, how are we gonna fund the shortfall?
This is a valid question.
It is.
Makes a little sense, it's a mission.
And that
We
was,
have no idea what we're doing. That's all.
Yeah, we have an idea. We just discussed it before that vote.
So.
That's the
And
annual.
it's gonna be just like last year, you're gonna take it from the fund balance or you raise taxes, they're gonna have your only two options when you get to that June 26th. That's your only two options.
And we'll do that on June 22nd.
Pardon?
On June 22nd, that's decided. June
Well, if you like that, I mean, you know, and in the past, we knew what we were gonna do prior to going in, we had a little bit of wiggle room. But once she turns that in, it's a special call meeting, that budget, that's it. You gotta
Once you
go.
turn in, you can't tell.
Can we just do like a general synopsis around the room, say how you wanna do it?
What's that?
Can we do like a little summary around the room, do it how you wanna do it?
I thought that's what we did a few minutes ago.
Well, I guess we can hear it from every individual, I guess.
I think so.
I mean, that,
I think we should raise it.
I mean, it's not mine, but I think they kind
I
of.
think that's what you want to know, how we
I
want to
don't know, it's just
That's we'll rate it. My opinion is we need to rate
That's
it.
forcing you to, I mean, that's just forcing you to a tax.
Right.
To me, to balance the budget, you only have to have 10.49. But the fiscal responsible thing to do is like we had in a discussion the past 20 or 30 minutes, is there are multiple other expenditures that were covered this year under grant money and some debt service issues that we've done. And they are going to come back to bite us. And the fact that our fund balance, even if we just did a 10.49 cent tax increase, our fund balance is still going to be down in the 800,000 range instead of over $1 million, which is where the mayor suggests that we be at, so that we can keep our cash flow.
Right.
So there are options. You know, the floor will be open when it comes to the night to set the tax rate. I mean, it's going to be, we make some motion, somebody's going to second it. Marie may make a motion for 5 cents, or Jason may second it, and then everybody else, you have to vote on that. If that don't pass, somebody else can make a motion. So I think we pretty well have ironed it out tonight. What is the responsible amount for it to be? It's just going to be, do you come up with something, or does any of us come up with something else between now and then that we can, it's a miracle that we could balance the budget with? And I think we all agree it's not there. So nobody wants to take it out of the fund balance, although you could. But then we would not have cash flow, we would run out of money, and you can't do that.
It also have to be approved by state.
And they wouldn't approve it. I seriously doubt they
I'm
would.
not saying they would or they wouldn't, I'm just saying that whatever we pass has to be approved.
Nobody in here wants to raise taxes. But sometimes we're put in a position where there's no other option.
I hope our employees understand, we really went out on, we really been effort, the salary, index, that, the equipment and cars, we did the sheriff's department last year. I hope they understand, we're really done about all we can do. And I don't think I can do much more.
And to that effect, we're doing a lot for all offices. All offices getting plexiglass, nice remodels to their office. The patrol car situation's great, the equipment for the sheriff's department's great. This grant money's buying even more stuff for the sheriff's department that they need and they've asked for.
So,
We have a lot of order in the hole, we have a large shortfall.
I just feel, my personal opinion, I feel bad for the corrections officers because this year, even with this budget and with this tax increase, most all the employees is getting a raise, and it's part of what we voted on last year. But the corrections officers, the ones That's the one group that's being left out.
Well,
If they get the longevity,
We've done voted on it tonight, so it's settled. I'm not gonna beat the dead horse,
right,
but I feel bad for them.
it's just, it's, you know, when you look at just the correction officers, yes. But if you look at the rise and expenses of the whole department, you just think, you just, when's it gonna end?
So let me bring us
That's the.
Let me bring us back to our last item that we need to address tonight. We need a vote on the grant possibilities. This needs to come as a resolution to the full commission. And so my understanding, Mayor, if I'm wrong on that, let me know. But my understanding was we needed to have a resolution to the full commission. It needs to go through finance.
Well,
But if I'm incorrect, let me know.
not exactly. I mean, yes, we have to pass a resolution. And items that I given to you and the ones I sent you, Mr. Brown said, everybody had, that doesn't, we can have multiple resolutions.
Okay.
So really, what I was interested in, there are certain items on that list that need to be done immediately, like Mr. Berry's IT work, and some of the other items that, reimbursement for the county clerk's office, they've already spent that money, so we can do an initial resolution for those, just the immediate things that we want to get taken care of right away. If you guys are gentlemen and ladies are in agreement with that, and I just went down the list of Mr. Berry's IT work. The last petitions for county clerk that's on that list. The website, I want to get that work started right away. The home workstation in my office, I want to go ahead and be able to plan. I have a person having surgery in September, so that they can work from home. The electrical work in the jail that is in there, we can go ahead and get that put out for bid. That's $25,000. Well, I mean, you can vote on all of it, but I think we need to get done immediately what we know, and then it gives us more flexibility. If we leave the money in here, but these are the items that we've identified, then something major blows up or happens between now and then, we can always use the funds for whatever the most pressing need is. But these immediate needs, the 911 center's already spent that COVID money, $1,650. Those are the ones that I can make a list and have it with the resolution on the June meeting and identify each one of those items. If there's some of these items that you feel like ought to be done, that's the discussion I was hoping to have tonight.
Okay.
Or if y'all disagree with me, but I'd like to get the initial resolution in the June meeting so that, at least those items, especially like Mr. Berry's and money we've already spent, get that money back. And the website, and those things we want to take care of right away. Then we can take a month or two and make sure, if there's other items or if there's more pressing needs, something could come up. That was my thought process. But if the commission feels it's fine, I'll draft the resolution. We already have a sample. I'll make the list. I can send that out to you ahead of time. These are estimated numbers that I have. But we can get that initial resolution, that way we can file it after the 1st of July. For those, just the immediate needs.
Does anybody have any concerns in with the list that was presented?
I've got one thing I'd like to say. Search and rescue, they have 0 swift water rescue.
I had that check too. I'm sorry.
They're all right this summer. I mean, when it gets colder weather, they don't have it. It's going to be pretty rough on them. They would like to have that as soon as possible.
Any other just general comments on the grant possibilities?
Is that satisfactory?
I think that's a great idea because things can change as we go along and something could happen, maybe we get lucky, grant money might come in on a compactor, so that would free up some of that money to do something else. So I think it would be better to identify the things we know and need first.
Right.
I agree with the list you put out, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm looking at it, totals 546,000.
Right.
And so that leaves the balance of 637,000 available for how long will we have to apply for that?
The grant has to be applied for by April 30th, 2021. Funds have to be expended by the end of 2023. So we have 2 full budget years. That's why I say I'm not in that. Don't get me wrong. These are things that we can get done, but we do have some time that if something major comes up, that kind of gives us a cushion that we don't normally have.
Could that balance, we keep talking about the air conditioning unit here, could that be used for that or no? I know it's working now, but.
Yeah, it's working now, and that was one of the first things. I mean, we've spent $28,000 a year, and I was told by the gentleman that comes here and does all the work, that's a hundreds of thousands of dollar project. And to replace the whole thing, and so I don't really think it. To me, it's one of those things that if we have to replace, we have to get an engineering company to come in, do a study, and say this is what we need. And that, to me, that would be something you want to do on capital expenditure because it's going to last. It should last you, 15, 20 years.
Is it one unit that runs the whole place, or is it multiple units?
It has a boiler and a chiller, and it's all
Connected?
Connected.
Okay.
I
agree with you.
Yes, if I would have thought, or if I had been told it would be $150,000, that would have been the first thing on this list. But the way he talked, it was $400,000 or $500,000 to replace, because you really have to quarter everything off into the offices because of the way everything's split up.
How old is this unit?
10 years. Yeah, I don't think it was the best unit when it was purchased, or the best situation for what little bit I found out about in the last 2 years. But it is working currently, and we made it through our best year this year. I mean, we may have made it from year down the road. I think, to me, that would be a capital expenditure because of the amount.
Do you need a motion to accept his list?
So that's my question. Do you want us to?
I do not need, this list, because to me, this is a moving list. You may want to add items to it, you may want to take items from it. What you got, what I would do is bring a resolution to you with particular items to be approved. And at that point, but I just want to make sure that the items that I have listed here that y'all pretty much agree with, agree.
And initially, when they said that, it's like 300 and some thousand first go round, and then they come back and added us disaster relief as well.
Yeah.
I know that 31,000 is in there for the highway department, but, some of that money was probably intended to help out with roads or flooding or other issues too, so we need to consider that.
Well, the 31,000 was the specific Jones Branch Road, because we didn't have the money and Perry didn't have his budget to finish, and that's why I listed that. So that would be one, and I know he wants to get it finished, so that would be one that needs to go on there fairly quickly. So we get it passed and have the funds available to get it finished. That.
$180,000 project.
But
Thank God they can take that whole
yeah, and but
We've got people on Tumbling Creek that's, it's flooded, done a lot of damage up there 2 or 3 times, and You know, whether we fix it temporarily or we fix it permanently or who knows, you know. Initially, I thought that some of that funding is said for disaster relief for the counties as well, when they increased that funding.
No, it was really 100 million originally, which we got, 328, or whatever, half the amount we're getting now. And then the governor added another 100,000. He added specific the first 100,000, there was specific uses for that money. We got 330 something. Then the second amount, 100 million was added, and it's split up. And there was additional uses, which roads has always been one of the uses that you could use it for. The last the governor just passed the disaster relief. You're right. He added that to the list of items that the funds could be used for, where there was tornadoes or flooding but roads. The road part has always been as one of the options to use the funds for. And the disaster relief, of course, we qualify for the personal reimbursement for our citizens, but there are certain items that I'd like to get closer to estimate. And some of these are estimated prices. So, I mean, actually, we've had somebody come in and look at the price. So, and if there's jobs that's going to be done, we always get two estimates. If it's under $10,000, there's certain purchasing parts of it that I would have to deal with in my office. But the resolution, I'll probably have a resolution on the June meeting of a list of items, and that y'all would approve the resolution. Then I have to send that into the state for approval. So, you know, that's the process that I see.
Any other thoughts? We are scheduled for 2 more meetings tomorrow and Saturday. Does anyone on the committee see that we need to meet? Or are we good? Okay. Then we will cancel the final 2 meetings of the week. So Friday's meeting and Saturday's meeting will be canceled. The next meeting will be the full commission for the special call meeting on June the 8th. With that,
Yeah, 6 o'clock.
it is 6 o'clock. We are
I
adjourned.
will, put this in the paper, have it ready, have the page already done, and give it to her. If we change anything, I'll try to do it without changing.
Jason, did you change it?
Huh?
Thank you all online. Thank you.
When we moved in back,